I'll make the point too, unlike the floods of migrants across the southern border of the United States, we're giving people legal support, we give them housing, we give them welfare, we give them access to Medicare. Any wonder 100,000 odd don't want to go home. But I'll also make the point, I was critical of your side of politics at the top of the show though, Alex, because there was a little bit of noise last year about the high migration numbers. There was not much about Big Australia in the election campaign, and this was not campaigned on either. I mean, if you guys aren't out there making the case that we should bring in a law, you get one review of the decision, that's it, if not, you're out. Or my view too, that we should not be giving anyone a visa to come from a country that if we had to send them back, like Iran, that would refuse to take them back. If you're not out there making the case for these big, tough changes to the way we do business, that 100,000 will be 200,000 by this time next year and continue to grow.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's right. This is a massive issue. We saw that on the ground in the election campaign, just the issue of overall migration. I think there were 1.4, 1.5 million people that were let in the last 3 years, and we assume that it's going to be a similar sort of number this time round. But this is the sort of stuff that also frustrates Australians. Remember, you're absolutely right. We're living through a housing crisis. There are young people under 40 that are effectively priced out of the housing market. This is a country in decline, frankly, Peter. I think on a range of levels,
yes,
there are issues which are not being addressed. This is the Liberal Party's job, and I totally agree with you. We need to come up with a strong answer.
Yeah, there was a cracking piece by Greg Sheridan, pretty much of that vein over the weekend in The Australian, and I think, sadly, pretty much everything he outlined, as hard as it was to read, was spot on. Talk to me about this, for a better word, treaty with the World Health Organization on pandemics. I thought we weren't going to sign anything like this, and my gripe is we must continue to have Australian sovereignty, absolutely, but we can't even have and haven't had a proper inquiry into how we handled it in Australia. The fact that if you're a Victorian, you were locked down 6 times, you had rubber bullets shot at Victorians by their own police force. We haven't accounted for any of that, yet we're going to sign on to something run by, the UN. What the heck's going on?
Yeah, well, it's a very good point and one well made, Peter. And look, that is the starting point. We still have not had the Royal Commission that many of us have been calling for. We haven't really even had any inquiry. Really, there was a couple of, kind of semi-attempts in the Senate which didn't really go anywhere. But this is a massive issue. This is the World Health Organization, the World Health Organization that got almost everything about COVID wrong. By the way, masks, travel bans, you name it, they got it wrong. And now the world community, the World Health Assembly, of which Australia is a member nation, is signing up to an agreement which will lead the way for treaty obligations. Now, out of this government, we hear the usual guff about, well, this doesn't do anything to Australia. We are still in control of our own, of our own destiny, which
so why
is true up until the point that the country...
Why sign it?
Well, correct. Why sign it in the first place? And of course, then the process will simply be rubber stamped through the Australian Parliament. That is just the normal way when we sign up to obligations. And then Australia will start making domestic laws, as we saw with the Biosecurity Act and the international health regulations during COVID, which stopped Australians from travelling unless they were injected. This is my view is we need to get out of the World Health Organization, full stop. That's what the Trump administration have done, and they've done it because the Trump administration's putting America first. This needs to be an Australia first agenda. If you went back into a different era and you said, I've got a deal for you, we're going to let unelected bureaucrats in a foreign country tell you how to run your pandemic. When a pandemic occurs, that's what it'll do. They'll be able to declare a pandemic, and what you do as your own sovereign nation at the time it happens, you would run from it from a mile. Why is this government going anywhere near this? We need to walk away from the World Health Organization.
Well, we're going to rely on you, Alex Antic, in the Parliament to pursue this and to keep us abreast of what the government's doing. And you're absolutely right. They sign an agreement. The agreement quickly becomes a treaty. It's not like it requires ratification like in other countries, particularly the United States. That treaty quickly becomes law. And the poor old punter, who's just gone through an election where this was not even mentioned, Alex Antic, has every right to be cranky that this is about pulling the wool over their eyes. All right, thank you.